Okay, now let's switch gears and talk defense for a second, Tim. This is, and I just started the defensive game plan. I'm going to have it finished, and we're going to dive into it a little deeper on tonight's show. But here's what you come away with from a personnel standpoint. The Minnesota Vikings like to run 11 personnel, which is one running back, one tight end. That's 3 wide receiver sets. They run that 70.4% of the time. That is 14th most in the league. Okay, so you're going, okay, that's kind of middle of the pack, Clayton. What's their bread and butter? What stands out from everything else in the league? Are they very multiple, or is there another formation that they're in the top 10 in? Glad you asked. They're in 21 personnel, 24.1% of the time. That's a quarter of the snaps almost. They're in 21 personnel, 2 running backs, 1 tight end.
Wow.
That's 4th most in the league, Tim. You know what that means? They're pressing into the Kyle Shanahan style offense over the Sean McVay style.
I was going to say they're kind of polar opposites of us, right?
Right.
We don't see a lot of 21 in Green Bay, so we got to be ready for this.
Yep. And keep in mind too, remember what Matt LaFleur said last season: 2 back equals 2 gap, 1 back equals 1 gap.
Yep.
He's probably still a little bit of that going on. So you may see the defensive line shift to a little 2 gap. Now, we don't run a 34 jam anymore, but what you may see happen, since they're running the ball so effective and they like to run a lot of play action off of it, you may see our first look at some 4-3 under and 4-3 over with a linebacker on the line of scrimmage, creating that 5-man front. We may see that.
Took the words right out of my mouth. This is going to come down to our linebackers, I think. Honestly, we talk about Quay struggling with the run fits. This may be one of those games where we see the linebackers tweaked a little bit, and trying to account for this, because if we don't, we're going to get lit up in the run game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yep. You know, these linebackers got to be on point. We talk about the defensive front all day. I'm less concerned about, TJ and Devontae Wyatt and the boys up front as I am about our linebackers, making sure that they're gap sound and disciplined and not getting washed out of these plays.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's just something to keep an eye on there. When it comes to the explosive plays, too, we talked about this. Green Bay leads the league at 14.1% explosive rate, and the Vikings are somewhere around, let me count it off here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in the league at 10.2%. So the explosives go in our favor. The turnover differential goes in our favor, right? The middle 8 is going to be a crucial factor. Red zone defense is going to be huge, too. That's something I wanted to pull up that I did not do yet. Let's do that right now while we're thinking about it, Tim. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull up the defensive rankings, and I want to see where both of these teams sit in both red zone offense and red zone defense. That's all right with you.
I'll tell you, when it comes to the defense.
Yeah, our guys better wake up with their piss hot, like I said before. So.
That's exactly right, Coach. All right, let's dive into it here. Let's see what we got. So we were talking about. Let's start with red zone. Did they not have red zone? I thought they did have red zone. Let's see. Let's go scoring offense. Here we go. What would be the most accurate depiction of red zone efficiency? Scoring attempts per game? No. Red zone scores per game? No. Red zone score percentage, touchdowns only. So I
would think that's a pretty good one, right?
That's probably the closest thing. This is touchdowns only, okay? So just keep that in mind. Look at Cleveland, boy. Cleveland 100%. My goodness. So red zone efficiency from a touchdown standpoint, Minnesota is 7th in the league. So they can really do some damage in the red zone. Green Bay is 29 at 30%. This is what Emilio was harping on a couple weeks ago. It's like, you got to finish when you're in the red zone. You got to finish. Right now, again, this doesn't include field goals, but it is it's very notable that they are extremely effective in the red zone. Right,
and we can't lie. Even as Packer fans, we can't gloss over the fact that we have 3 games in, we've kind of struggled in the red zone. Not just Josh Jacobs coughing that one up against Indy at the goal line, but there have been times where we've knocked on the door and we come away with 3 or we come away with none. And against Minnesota, if you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure. We've got to execute in the red zone.
Got to. So there's from the offense perspective. Let's go to the defense perspective, okay? So Minnesota and then, again, this is scoring percentage, touchdowns only, okay? Minnesota is tied for 7th at 33.3%. So they're only giving up 3% more touchdowns in the red zone than Green Bay's average of 30%. So, they're pretty damn effective, right? Tied for 7th, like we said. Whereas Green Bay, 21st at 60%. So that's been kind of the Achilles heel of the Packers so far this season, early season, young season. That's something you got to focus on there too. So you would definitely give Minnesota the edge in red zone efficiency, both on offense and defense. So now you're seeing the Packers turnover differential, Packers favor. Explosive, in Packers favor. Red zone efficiency, Minnesota favor. It's going to be a hell of a game, Tim. I'm just telling you, dude. It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be awesome.
And this is, again, I can't state this enough. I've said it the last 3 days, man. This is, for all intents and purposes, a playoff game. It's playoff type of vibe. This is a divisional matchup. It is early in the season, but we all know you can't afford to drop these games to divisional opponents, especially when you look at how the records are right now. Clearly, the NFC North is probably the hottest division in the NFC, arguably in football right now at this point. And, when this season is wrapping up, we could really be looking at a scenario where the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions are all in the playoffs. And it's going to be a matter of who's hosting a game, who's got a first round bye, and who's playing on the road as a wild card kind of scenario. So you got to win this ball game. You got to protect 1265. You've got to win this game. So there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot at stake here. But it's real easy for teams, rounding out this first quarter of the season to kind of, let one slide here. We can't do that. Packers have struggled at home in the last few years. We've got to take care of home, especially in divisional games. So shout out to the Gold Package fans. Hopefully we get that dub.
Yeah, show up and get loud. No doubt about it.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the PFF preview real quick. That sound good? We'll take a quick glance, and we'll hit on this more, guys, as the week goes on. This isn't going to be the only time we hit on it. We just want to kind of start to dabble in it a little bit. I'm going to dive into some more advanced analytics and tendencies for the defensive game plan. I feel like we put something fairly good together on offense, so I want to finish that defensive game plan, and then I'll put together our Tuesday players list, which basically means these are the big-name players you've got to stop for Minnesota. How do you stop them from wrecking the game plan type of thing? If you guys and gals would hit that like button for us real quick. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on this Thursday morning. Thank y'all for making us a part of your day here. All right, so let's kind of look at it here, Tim. Obviously, we've seen 3-point favorites. You see right here the betting odds according to PFF currently. I guess this is overall market average is actually 2.5. So what's that tell you? Some of that's kind of leaning toward the Vikings because you typically catch 3 points for the home team, right? That's the way it's somewhat trending right now, I guess you could say, okay? So overall ranking, PFF has the Vikings ranked 9th in power rank, the Packers 8th. How about that, dude? Look at this. Power ranking on defense, Vikings 19th, Packers 20th. Power ranking on offense, the Vikings are 2nd, the Packers are sitting at 27th. I'm sure that's because Malik Willis is still kind of considered there, right? Strength of schedule played. This is where the rubber meets the road. The Vikings have played a tough schedule so far. They played the 49ers and they played the Texans. The Packers have not. The Vikings is not in strength of schedule. The Packers are 26th.
That will change though, right? As we
progress. That'll change after this game for sure. Yes.
Yeah, and we've got the Texans and the Niners coming up on our schedule as well. So I think it's just to this point early in the year. Yeah, Minnesota's had the tougher strength of schedule here, but it's going to balance out for sure.
Yeah, and this is the best test, right? Now we're getting ready to see what this team is all about with the Packers. Let's see, can they hold their own there against the Vikings? Can you somehow pull out a win? That's going to really tell you. And here's the thing: the Packers have a ton of momentum.
I was just going to say, and law of probability. I mean, look at the team records. You've got it pulled up to the right, right? Minnesota has not lost a game since the preseason. They were 3-0 in the preseason. They're 3-0 in the regular season. They're due to catch that L. So
it's true.
Let's go out and get it.
Yep. And you see the Packers kind of got it over with or got it out of the way early, and they've been trending up ever since. I mean, look at this. They only lost by 5 points to the Eagles. They win by 6 points against the Colts with a backup quarterback, and then they win by 16 points against the Titans on the road with the backup quarterback. They're trending in the right direction. There's no two ways about it. So that's how that sits right there. As far as average offensive snaps, the Packers have had a lot more snaps, 67.3, the Vikings only 59. Percentage of run plays, the Packers are running 55% of the time. The Vikings are only running 44% of the time. So they are passing more than they're running. And it's pretty much a mirror image, right, Tim? The Packers are leaning on the run more. That may change this Sunday if Jordan Love returns, for sure. EPA per run, the Packers are minus 0.06. The Vikings are minus 0.02. So they definitely have the edge over the Packers in the running game. EPA per pass, check this out. Malik Willis has been playing, right? EPA per pass, the Packers are leading the Vikings at 0.20. The Vikings are at 0.16. Did not expect to see that, man. That's absolutely wild there. When you go to the PFF grades, Sam Darnold is grading out at an 82.3 on the season. The Malik Willis is grading out as a 74.0. Passer rating when clean, Darnold 127.1, Willis 126.9. Look at this, passer rating under pressure. Darnold, as good as he's been, 82.8. Malik Willis is better at a 90.6 under pressure. Big throw percentage, though, man, Sam Darnold, 4.26% of the time with a big-time throw percentage.
I remember getting a text from my Uncle Mike. Shout out to my Uncle Mike, probably listening from Franklin, Wisconsin. When J.J. McCarthy went down, he sent me a text talking about, what's Minnesota going to do? And I kind of told him, I said, this is actually bad news because I had a feeling that, a 27-year-old experienced Sam Darnold was going to come in here and do exactly what he's been doing. And this is like one of the few times in my life that I hate being right because let's be honest. I mean, he is Kirk Cousins right now. Like he's doing exactly what Kirk did during his tenure in Minnesota. And they're not giving him more than he can handle. And he's running that offense very similar to the way Kirk did, efficiently and putting points on the board. I had told my Uncle Mike, I said, hey, I'd rather face a rookie quarterback. I don't care how high of a draft pick or prospect he is. I'd rather face an inexperienced rookie than, a grizzled NFL veteran taking over as a starter. And Sam Darnold has been balling lately, and we have to account for that defensively for sure.
Yeah, you can't argue the talent that Sam Darnold has. You don't get drafted that early in the first round without having arm talent. Now, he goes to the Jets. The Jets do what they do. They ruin quarterbacks that aren't named Aaron Rodgers, right? Yep. So, and then he had to bounce around the league, and he's had ups and downs. There'll be 1 week he's grading out in the 80s, and then there'll go several weeks he's grading out real bad. So you've seen it. KOC is a hell of a quarterback coach, guys. He played quarterback at the NFL level.
Yep.
I crack up at fans that are like, "Oh, KOC's overrated." I'm like, if you've convinced yourself that a former NFL quarterback doesn't understand the quarterback position, you've got a bad ego problem. I'm sorry.
Sit your butt outside.
You don't have to sit outside. I'm just saying, like, I never want to get to that point that my ego is so out of control that I think people actually think this former NFL quarterback knows ball. Let me tell you what's actually get away from me with that crap. So, but yeah, KOC, man, he brung in a veteran. We've always talked about the Kyle Shanahan system. Look at what happened with Kyle Shanahan. He had Jimmy G, played pretty well, right? They draft I can't even remember his name now. That ended up
Trey
being
Lance.
Trey Lance, who's in Dallas now. They draft Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy fits into the system perfect. The system is designed to be very quarterback friendly. There's an answer to the equation every play. If you guys haven't listened to the Play Callers podcast, and it was a 4 or 5 part series, if I remember correctly. You can literally search on anywhere you get your podcast. It's done by Jordan Rodriguez. And to hear how Kyle Shanahan drew on a glass board, and he has an answer to every equation. He does it in different color codes. And it's like, this defense, here are the weak spots. Okay, what route concept, what route combination would attack that? Got it. Okay. Now in another color, here's what cover 3, here's where their weak spots are. Here's passing concepts or a route combination that would attack that. All right, here's cover 2 in a different color. And at the end of it, what you find is there's multiple passing concepts that work against specific defenses. And that's where you get into the pick a side concept. Okay. And what I mean by pick a side, there's 3 types of reads that quarterbacks make. Pure progression, which is like, okay, he's the 1, he's the 2, he's the 3. Now we check it down. You've got progression within an option, or with an option, I should say. That's like working like 3x1 to the backside. Okay, you're going to work a progression, and then you've got an option embedded within that read. And then you got pick a side, which is you got a route concept on one side that beats a 2-high defense, and on the other side it beats a 1-high defense. So pre-snap, they're going to try to sugar you. They're going to show 2-high, or they may show single, and then you've got to know, okay, what are the chances of them going to a 2-high look or a 1-high? And you've got to know where the answer to the equation is on which side. This is all excluding setting the protection, identifying the mic, knowing where the pressure is coming from, should you can to a run because you got a hat count advantage, all those things. But when the ball's snapped, now the read becomes pick a side. Where's the 2-high side? Where's the 1-high side? They both may be 2-high. Then you got to work to the 2-high side read. That's called pick a side. If one side is 2-high, meaning it's cover 4, and the other side is 1-high, meaning it's cover 2, that's what we refer to as a cover 6 or a cover 9 defense. The only difference between a 6 and a 9 is underneath principles. But okay, if that's cover 6, then this side of the field is cover 2, the other side is cover 4. I know where my read is going to be. I know where my answer to the equation is. Most of the time it's a check down, because a cover 2 and a cover 4 is technically 2-high post snap. So you've got to go to your check down in that regard. People go, well, why don't you just run that all the time? You do, and you get roasted. You get called, Joe Barry apologist, because that's
How dare you?
That's why teams lean into the shell coverage. It's why Mel Kiper said it should be banned from football, because it's the reason. I know I still laugh too, Tim. It's the reason that passing is down this year, because more teams are playing more shell coverage. Jeff Hafley's playing it, guys. He's playing it. Nobody's roasting him because we're getting picks, right?
Yep.
And it's all about how often you run it. So with that being said, that's what we mean by pick a side. And this Kyle Shanahan scheme and how he drew that up on that glass board, that's not just a one-time thing. He did this once, that stuck with me. That is embedded within the DNA of the Shanahan-Kubiak system.
Yep.
There's always an answer to the problem. The question has always got an answer to the equation. The reality is, can your coach up your quarterback for them to understand how to get to that answer? And then does your quarterback have the arm talent, accuracy, throw power, touch, all that, and also setting the protection to protect your quarterback long enough to get to that answer? I don't know if
it does make sense, because when you mentioned that, Clayton, the first thing I thought of, when you look at what Matt LaFleur's done with Malik Willis here in, just inside of a month, basically, I instantly think about what Kyle Shanahan did with Brock Purdy. He brought the last guy drafted into a starting situation and got him playing really good football. And we're seeing that right now with Matt LaFleur and Malik Willis. So you got to look at these schemes, and you got to look at these head coaches, and you realize there are similarities and there's also a lot of contrast. But one thing that's for sure is these guys know what to do with their quarterbacks, regardless of who it is under center.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's see here. Donovan Schilling in the chat. Good morning, fam. Glad I caught you guys live for once. Thanks, Donovan. Appreciate you swinging through, man. It's awesome to have you in here live. It's a different vibe when you drop in live, for sure, man. The chat is, the chat is on fire for sure. So let's look at the green line real quick, Tim. And this is PFF's kind of way of diving into the gambling side. Listen, if you're one of those people that doesn't believe in gambling, I respect that. I completely respect that. I'm not a heavy gambler. But what I do like to do is look at some of the Vegas odds and where the money's going and how many of the tickets. The tickets typically is a reflection of the public. The money is a reflection of what we call the whales, right? The big money, the quote unquote, the sharps, the smart money type thing. Now, keep in mind, you can have a lot of money and not be sharp. You don't believe me? Just look at our government on both sides of the aisle, okay? And
so true.
I'm telling you, bro. But I typically look at the cash that's on the game as, okay, that's where the sharp money is. All right. So, like I said, unless there's a knucklehead with too much money out there. And again, whether the sharps are on this game or not, the sharps are not 100% success. Here's the reality. The best gamblers in the world, probably at about 60 to 65% success rate. That's why the NFL is so awesome, right? Any given Sunday, anything can happen. So let's look at it, though. So currently, they have the spread. The market has a spread at plus 2.5 for the Vikings. That means the Packers are 2.5-point favorites. PFF has it much closer than that at 1.6, okay? Cover probability sitting at 50%. Break even is sitting at 52.4% for both teams. Value is at minus 2.4% currently. Here's what we want to get into. With the spread, meaning you could take the Vikings plus 2.5, or you could take the Packers lay in 2.5, meaning the Packers have to win by 3 points for you to win that bet, okay? 64% of the cash is on the Vikings right now with the spread. 81% of the tickets are on the Vikings. What that means is there's 81% of the overall bets, right? It could be $1 bet on whatever, DraftKings. You know what I'm saying? It could be, there's no, whatever. The cash is the majority of the money, the overall money gambled on the Vikings at plus 2.5. Is sitting at 64% in favor of the Vikings.
Man, that is really close to
65%.
65%. That's what yes, it is, Mark. So let's go to the money line. The money line I really like to dive into a little bit more when it comes to the cash and the tickets. Currently, the market is sitting Packers minus 144, right? And what that means is you bet $100. What is it? You bet $100. Let me think how to word this so everyone understands. The odds are in Minnesota's or in Green Bay's favor, so you've got to put up more money to make more money. Basically, for the Vikings, if you bet for the Vikings to win outright, put $100 on it, you can win 121. Does that make sense? So if you look at it that way, that's how that shakes out. PFF's got it at minus 120, so a little bit more swayed toward Green Bay there. Win probability, the Packers 54.6%. All right. That's a number in our favor. Want to keep an eye on that. Break even 58.8% for the Packers. Value is at minus 4.2%. That's what we're talking about with that minus 144. Okay. Cash, though, here's where the money is, guys. 82%. 82% of the cash, and it's early. It's only Thursday. There's going to be some late money come in. But 82% of the cash is on the Vikings to win outright. 59% of the tickets are on the Vikings to win outright. So that's how the green line sees it there as far as the gambling numbers. All right. Now let's look at the lineup. This is what I'm more in tune with. I just always like to mention the numbers because, again, they're trying to get that number. Keep in mind, too, guys, they're trying to get the number, they be in Vegas and any bookie. They want the bets to get as close to 50-50 as possible. So right now, I think that number is going to change as we move through the week to try to get that cash and those tickets a little, really, probably the tickets more so than the cash. You can't control what knucklehead whale comes in and puts money on the game. You can control the tickets by swaying the opinion of the public with the points. So you may see that. That's why it's kind of going in the opposite direction right now. But we'll keep an eye on it for sure. All right, offense. Let's go. Let's stick with nickel because we talked about the Packers run more 11 personnel than any other set. The Vikings run 11 personnel. I think we just uncovered the number 70.4% of the time. So this game is going to be played. The large majority of it's going to be played with nickel defense on the field, but you got to keep in mind that the Minnesota Vikings are running 21 personnel 24.1% of the time. It's a quarter of the snaps, fourth most in the league. You are going to see a lot of base too, so we'll go to that here in a second. Let's talk about Packers on offense and Vikings on defense out of the nickel, okay? And I'm going to try to keep this to where you can actually see the grades and it's not too small. It's going to be tough, but we'll rotate back and forth here if we need to zoom in. You let me know if I need to zoom in on anything, Tim, all right? So here's how it sits right now according to PFF. Let's start with the fronts. Green Bay across the board, offensive line from left to right. Rasheed Walker, 60. Elton Jenkins, 71. Josh Myers, 53. Sean Ryan, 66 now, Tim. He's climbing, dude. Maybe he's getting it. Right tackle, Zach Tom at 78. So essentially what that means is Rasheed Walker is the 53rd highest graded tackle. Now, people are going, Clayton, he's one of the best pass blockers in the league. Why is his grade so low? All those penalties. And that's why I take into account PFF. It's important. That's very, very important. Now, you do want to dive a little deeper and go, okay, how's Rasheed Walker on pass blocking? 78.3. That's the 13th highest graded pass blocking grade, right? That's important too. So you got to put everything into perspective. You don't just take the grade and go, PFF's garbage. They don't know what they're talking about. That stuff, that's how casuals act, right? Left guard, Elton Jenkins, 17th highest graded guard in the league.
Here's the guy.
Josh Myers, 30th highest graded center in the league at 53.2.
That means there's only 2 worse than him?
Yes, overall, Tim. Now, pass blocking, 67. He's 13th best in the league there. We know that's the most important. But again, Tim, I think Josh Myers is he's going to test the market. Here's what's crazy, Tim. On the market, he's probably going to get somewhere between 8 to 12 million per year.
Yeah.
Because this right
he
here.
is playing his best ball right now.
I mean, pass blocking, again, he's had higher pass blocking grades in the past, but overall, he's going to get it, man. And it's this right here. A center that's 6'5", 310 and has the mobility that he has, there's going to be a team that goes, hey, man, we had a high draft grade on him. We can change him. We can fix him. Right? It's going to happen. There's no doubt
It's
about
like
it.
a woman trying to fix a man.
Exactly. Good luck with that. Sean Ryan, again, look at last year, 49.3. This year, 66.5. That's
Here's the guy.
Pass blocking grade, 64.4. Run blocking grade, 64. That 34-yard gash that Josh Jacobs had against Indy, and you see Sean Ryan 25, 30 yards down the field throwing blocks. Come on.
That was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
He just needed the cape. Nacho Libre running in space. We just had to put the cape on him.
And to see him move like that, Tim, and him be 6'5", 321, that's just wild, man.
Yep.
Again, I'm not trying to drink the Kool-Aid on Sean Ryan just yet, but we got to give credit where credit's due. We've dogged Sean Ryan as much as anyone. He is playing pretty damn good ball right now. He is. So Zach Tom, 78.4. Oh, by the way, for people going, yeah, but Clayton, that's just PFF. No, Brian Bulaga has bragged on Sean Ryan, and he watches every offensive snap from the offensive line perspective.
Yep.
So
and if you're a Packer fan, you root for that. You want to see him continue on his ascent, because that can single-handedly, if Sean Ryan steps up and continues to improve, man, all of a sudden the right side of that O-line is shored up. That's always been a weak point for us, is right guard. And with Zach Tom at right tackle, you got no worries there. If Sean Ryan can step up, man, we're looking really good over there.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt. So there you go with Sean Ryan. I had to adjust something real quick. I apologize on the stream there. So Zach Tom, obviously 78.4. I don't want to waste any time there. We know he's a stud, right? So how does that match up against their nickel front here? You've got Grenard, who is definitely their best pass rusher, the edge defender, outside linebacker, 67.2 against Zach Tom. I like our matchup there. There's no reason to try to give Zach Tom help there. And again, we're going to be focused on those zero blitzes. They like to blitz a lot. So we're going to be focused on that aspect of the protection as opposed to, just one-on-one matchups personally. Matt LaFleur had mentioned their pick game, much like the Colts. They got a strong pick game, meaning they like to run stunts, ETs, TE stunts, things like that, scrape blitzes, stuff like that. So got to keep our eye on that. Now, when we focus from left to right, you've got Jones here, Pat Jones the second. He's grading out as a 61. That's going to be the matchup on Walker initially. You got Ward, their interior defensive lineman, only a 58. Nothing to write home about there. They're using Van Ginkel, it looks like, on the interior, kind of like we're using Enagbare. They've got him listed as an edge. I thought he was a stack backer. I had that completely wrong, guys. He's graded out as a 77.1 this year. Last year, he graded out a 91.1. He's kind of the cog that makes that defense go. You're talking about an overachiever, 10, a fifth-round pick. Van Ginkel ain't nothing to shy away from, and that dude is a real deal. So what you're seeing is if they just went a straight one-on-one matchup, the right side of their from the offense's perspective, the right side of the defense, or from the defense's perspective, their left end and the interior and the nickel when they like to bring Van Ginkel in there and rush, that's their strength. So you got Tom and Sean Ryan over there. You're feeling pretty good. Now, Elton, you like Elton on an island on the left if they are just going to bring 4 at times or even 5. So you're probably going to want to try to fan the protection to the right just a touch so you can help Sean Ryan out with Van Ginkel if he truly is rushing there. But the reality is Van Ginkel likes to rush from all over the field, man. He really does. He's lined up on the D line with 125 snaps. He's been in the box only 11 as a stack backer. He's actually played slot corner 3 times, meaning he's kind of kicked out wide. That's all that means.
They almost use him kind of like Detroit uses Aiden Hutchinson, right? He's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a fair assessment. Yeah, and he is. Look, he's built like a stack backer, right? At 6'4", 242, but his coverage grade's a 91.1, so he is dropping into coverage too. I wish we had coverage snaps here. I don't have time to dive into all of his because when I click on that, it's going to take us to a separate page. Maybe we'll dig into that a little bit later. But his coverage grade is what's carrying him right now, to be honest, Tim.
Yeah.
Pass rush grade is only a 62.1, run defense grade 59.7, but that coverage grade of 91.1. I think he does have some interceptions this year. He's got 3 sacks. I know we uncovered that stat. So that's how their front's shaping up according to PFF with the nickel sets. And again, that may mix up a little bit as you go along. Now, Josh Jacobs is now the 7th highest graded running back in the league. So all the haters, they're having a bad day today. I know it was so weird how some Packer fans were rooting for Josh Jacobs' demise. I just don't get that.
I'll never understand that.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, man. It really doesn't. So when you look at their tight end Tucker Kraft, he's graded down to 57.1. When you hear Mark Chimura, who's watched the tape, you hear Brian Balaga and Mark Tauser talk about Tucker Kraft, they really like what Tucker Kraft's done. So PFF, you take it with a grain of salt. PFF sees him as a 57.1. Former players are going, this dude's playing outside of his mind. So maybe the grade will come along later on in the season. We'll see. At stack backer, they've got Pace Jr. at a 58.1 and Cashman at a 78.1. He's the 6th highest graded linebacker in the league right now.
Yeah.
Really good in coverage is Blake Cashman. You guys know he was a free agent, Tim. He was on our short list.
I know. I was just going to say we had him on the radar.
Yep. We were kind of saying, go get McKinney, go get Blake Cashman. Boy, if you had, we were spot on with that assessment. He was the 8th highest graded stack backer last year in 2023 at 82.1. He's 78.1 this year, so he's right there around the same.
I still feel good though about Goody's choice. We got Tyron Hopper in the building, and we got Edgerrin Cooper in the building.
Edgerrin Cooper could turn out to be a stud.
Yep.
Obviously Quay continues to struggle. If you put Blake Cashman in our defense, though, Tim.
Oh yeah.
God, it's untelling how good the turnover differential would have been. His coverage grade is an 80.7. Run defense grade 69.5, pretty solid. Pass rush grade is the only thing bringing that overall 78.1 grade down. It's a 52.1. Now, when you look at how he lines up, he's been on the line. He's mugged 8 snaps. He's playing in the box 172. Obviously, he's kicked out wide 5 times. That's kind of how he lines up. He's just your traditional stack backer, 6'1", 237. He's thick. Another 5th-round pick, man. Pretty wild. So that's how their linebackers shake out. Let's go to the cornerback position here, okay? Or wide receiver, I should say. Romeo Doubs from left to right. Romeo Doubs, 66.2. Again, I've said it all along. I feel like Doubs is a solid number 2 receiver. Jaden Reed is now 76.6 out of the slot, 14th highest graded receiver in the league, 76.1 or 76.6. He's your number 1 receiver. And again, I don't treat like when people say a true number 1, he doesn't tilt the coverage, guys. He's not a Randy Moss. He's not a Andre Johnson. He's not one of these guys that really dictates coverage. But man, he is just that is your best receiver on this roster, hands down, no doubt about it. Christian Watson, 64.8. He's climbing every week. He's 54th. We talk about this with the receiving core. We've got a receiving core that's just loaded with number 2 wide receivers. PFF agrees. Again, Dobbs, 51st. Watson, 54th. Reed, that true number 1, and he's kind of your Swiss Army knife out of the slot.
His receiving is tough.
From the cornerback position, Evans out wide, 63.4. Murphy Jr., 48.4 is their slot corner, Tim. Make a note of that, my friend. That's a matchup.
This is going to be the Jaden Reed and Tay Wicks show. I'm telling you.
Kind of feels like it, man.
Bo Melton for that matter too, as well.
Yeah, I'm going to make a note here real quick. Just as a reminder. Sorry to get away from the mic there, guys. Don't expect this show to be professional. You should know by now. So we're going to go Reed versus, who is it, Murphy Jr., if that is the true matchup. You got to be careful. Sometimes PFF gets this stuff wrong.
Sure.
But there you go. That's a matchup you want to look at. We'll make a note.
Feel good about – I was just going to say, feel good about Scoot over there on the outside, that matchup against Griffin.
Yep, you got Griffin 60.2, Watson 64.8. Let's see how tall Griffin is if they do get matched up. 6 foot, 198, Tim. Christian Watson, 6'5", 208. You like the height advantage. Let's see if Evans matches up better. 6'2", that's a little better. So they might try to mirror Evans with Watson a little bit for that height advantage. But here, I know people are seeing this and going, yeah, but man, look at Harrison Smith. He continues to play well. Yes, he does. It's so good, and it won't even load up for me.
What an absolute monster. Another Harrison Smith's always been on that. I got a list of 10 or 12 players that are on other teams that I've always really respected their game and would love to see them in the green and gold someday, even though it'll probably never happen. Harrison Smith, one of those guys. I mean, this guy's been in the league 250 years, and he's still holding strong, 83.9 PFF grade, and you've got to be conscious of him every time he's on the field.
Yep. And here's the beautiful thing, guys. They're going to be running a lot of zero blitzes, but they're going to be playing the majority of the time cover 2 zone or cover 4. So they are going to show kind of a shell look at times when they're not. Here's what it means. They're either bringing the house or they're playing shell coverage. That's what it comes down to. Now, they're disguising it and dropping out post-snap shell. Pre-snap shell, they're not showing a whole lot of based off the tape I just watched earlier.
Oh, yeah. And please believe if they're sending the dogs and they're keeping a single safety back there, it's probably going to be Harrison Smith.
And that's the thing, Tim. They're only doing that 8% of the time. What I'm saying is they're going to be firing zero. There's either going to be no safeties or there's going to be 2 safeties. That's what they do. So they play very little like cover 1. I think it was 8% of the time. Let me go back, make sure I'm
all the more reason our line better be on point and these pass protections better be set correctly, because you're right. It won't be Harrison Smith in that secondary. It'll be him firing off the edge.
Yep.
The blitz.
Absolutely. They're going to bring him down into the box a lot and show blitz, whether they drop him out or not. He will blitz. There's no doubt about it. Now, remember, go back to our game plan, our offensive game plan here. Now that we're looking at these PFF grades. And again, Bonham on the other side, 64.4, not bad, 35th highest graded safety. That's pretty solid play, right, for a second safety on the team, if you will. So if they are in cover 4 and cover 2, keep in mind, their EPA against 3-by-1, meaning trips and tray left, is really good, okay, at a minus 0.27. Their EPA allowed at 1-by-3, meaning trips right, tray right, is 14th best in the league at a 0.11, right, minus 0.11. So this is what it suggests. Think back New Year's Eve, attacking the seam with Tay Wicks. That was trips right. It's very similar to last year. So look for some empty 12. And here's what I mean by that, guys. If we come out in 12 personnel and we trigger their base 3-4, and now we've got Musgrave and Kraft kind of, flexed out. And, oh, by the way, if we're in 12, that means Josh Jacobs is going to be out in the route as well. Look for them to go trips left out of the empty and then motion that 3 over, or the F, whoever's playing F, even if they're in 11, which they'll be in 11 more than 12. There's no doubt about it. They be in the Packers. Come out in that trips left, empty, and then motion them to trips right. And that's going to do 2 things. That's going to make the defense more uncomfortable rather than just lining up and playing, right? When you go empty, they can't disguise as much because you can go double hot out of an empty set, meaning you can have 2 hot reads, and if they show blitz, whether they blitz or not, guys are going to be out of position for Jordan Love to fire that thing out of there real quick and hit a quick gasher. But also, when you go from trips left and you go cheat motion right, not only is it making the defense uncomfortable, you're in an empty set where they can't disguise as much, and then also you're gathering information for Jordan Love to say, okay, are they in man coverage or zone here? If they're in man, meaning if a guy follows him over, probably a man blitz, because, again, they don't like to play a lot of single high looks. Now, against empty, maybe that's the 8% we're seeing. That could be the case. I don't have the time. I'm trying to protect my marriage. I don't have the time to dive that deep, but just keep that in mind. And if they do, audible out when you see an empty and they stay in zone, well, guess what's going to happen? Now Matt LaFleur knows I've got trips right against cover 2 or cover 4 predominantly. what is the passing concept I need to attack cover 4 or cover 2 on that side? That's now you open up the playbook and go, here are the 3 route combinations we need to use, whether it's slot cross, dagger, what have you, right? To me, it feels like dagger with the dig from the 1. That would be the way I would want to attack, or even a wolf concept? Hold on just a second. I've got the concepts here. There's a concept that works really, really well where you've got a corner route in the 2, wolf. So check this out, guys. Unless they go to a Mabel defense, a Mabel look on the right, which is kind of 3 layers, a cover 3, kind of 3 layers on the right. They don't run a lot of cover 3, keep in mind. They're cover 4, cover 2. Like Tim said, they could change it up. That's definitely a possibility. But if you go with the wolf concept, which is essentially the number 1 receiver, think trips right for a second, okay? Forget the image that's on the screen for a second. Think you've got 3 targets on the right side of the field, okay? The number 1, the far outside receiver, is going to run a 10-yard out route. The number 2 is going to run a corner route, okay? A deep corner route. And then the number 3 in that trip set is going to give you a skinny post or a climb route. That's how you're going to be able to attack this defense. I think wolf concepts will be involved. I think dagger will be involved as well, which is basically the 1 will run a dig while the 2 stretches the field vertically. And then the 3, you can throw a corner route in. So you could go dagger, F corner, or dagger slot corner, depending on where the F is lined up, where the motion came over, because you can motion from the 3 on the left side over and put him in the 2 on the right or the 3 on the right. But look for dagger. I would look for dagger with the corner or wolf with a post. That makes sense. So that's a couple concepts that I'm going to circle right now. Dagger and wolf in this game. So I don't know. It's going to be really cool to see if Minnesota keeps their tendencies or if they change things up, man. I'm excited to watch this ball game.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's how it lines up as far as PFF preview. Again, we just talked about nickel versus 11. We ran out of time, so I'm going to make a note here tonight, Tim. What we're going to hit on is their offense. I'm going to put Minnesota offense, right? Mini offense versus Packers D. All right, and we'll hit that this evening and dive into what that looks like. Man, this show flew by. Holy cow. Appreciate y'all hanging out, man. We got a bunch of people in here, too. Thank y'all so much. Anything else you want to hit on, Tim, before we get out of here, bro?
No, I think we covered a lot today. We can get the rest on PTA Live tonight, 7 Central. Absolutely,
man. This is fun. Just so much information to dive into. The main thing I want to focus on is the personnel, the coverages, the tendencies in that regard, and then want to hit on, okay, where's the EPA show you should kind of bleed your offense and defense towards, to put yourself at an advantage. So, it's going to be good, man. Again, rubber's about to meet the road on Sunday, gang. We're about to find out how good this Packers team is.
And we're about to find out who our QB is going to be here really soon here in the next 48 hours, I would think. Probably play close to the chest, but we should get an answer, right?
Yeah. I think we should, man. I don't know when we're going to get the answer, Tim, be honest with you. I feel a lot better about Jordan playing this week, but that Wildy conversation just bothers me, man. I can't get it out of my head, and I need to forget it, to be honest.
I'm choosing not to believe that.
Yeah,
I really am, because you got to look at the guy that's been here. Jordan is not wired that way. A lot of what we've built here since the Aaron Rodgers departure has been a complete shift in identity, and it's not all about QB1. It's not about having a number 1 receiver or a number 1 at any position. We talk about we fence on special teams. This whole team is we fence. It's playing for the guy next to you, next man up mentality. And we just got to shore up things with the penalties. We got to play disciplined football. Once we get a little bit more discipline, both sides of the ball, we're going to be a massively successful team. I like Coach Len here. Yeah. Fake news. It's fake news.
It says fake news.
I talked to Mr. Love, and he said it's fake news.
I shouldn't have brung it up, but Nick McSwain asked, what did Wildy say? He's insinuating that Jordan was cleared by the medical team, and that basically his representatives, his agents, were the ones who didn't clear Jordan. So he didn't say that, but anyone who listened to it, that's what he's saying. It's like he's a little too nervous to just come out and say, I think Jordan didn't play because his representatives told him not to, and the team expected him to play. But
which is crazy because
with fake news.
the representation got him the contract, right? I mean,
right.
He got a $70 million direct deposit kind of thing in his account. Yeah. Like the bag has been secured. Why would they feel like he needs to be handled with kid gloves?
All right.
I could see if he didn't have a deal, if he was playing on that last year of the deal, there might be some legs to this story. But I mean, the man is paid, and he's our QB for hopefully the next decade plus. So I say if he's good to go, he's going to want to be out there. Agents be damned.
And the reason I say I hope it's not true and it's bothering me is that's on Jordan. Jordan has got to go, hey, listen, bro. I stayed out of the negotiations. I'll let you handle that stuff. But the team doctor is saying my knee's good enough to play. I need to be out there to play. For him, if it's true, guys, and we don't know if it's true, but if it is true, come on, dude. You need to – about said a bad word. You need to toughen up and say, listen, dude, you're overstepping your bounds right now. I need to be out there playing. So
yeah, especially when you consider what this we brought in new strength and conditioning. We've seen a difference in our team. And, we've had some shuffling around, some promotions and things like that in the athletic training department these past couple of years. I think with everything that these team doctors and training staff do, it doesn't matter what Jordan's agents say. It doesn't even matter what Jordan says. I mean, there's tests. They're pulling on that knee and stressing that knee, and then they're watching him like a hawk to see how he reacts because you can't hide certain pain when it happens to you. They know if he's good to go, you got to believe he's chomping at the bit to play. So I'm not running with this story at all.
I got you. Let's see here in the chat real quick. Well, we're going way over. This is hilarious. Pretty soon we'll be doing a 3-hour show. Let's see.
From our bachelor pads as you and I both become single.
Exactly. Shout out to Nick McSwain being a member for 7 months. Appreciate you, buddy. You are awesome, man. Donovan Schilling says, fire Joe Barry. There you go. All right. So Donovan Schilling says, all my peeps down south, be safe out there. I'll be working through this hurricane in Georgia. Shaking my head. Yeah, you stay safe too, Donovan. We got storms all day. I can't believe the internet hasn't gone out.
Watch out for this guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of hurricanes.
He comes in like a hurricane, no doubt. Matthew Johnson says, my man Matt, good to see you in here, buddy. Said the Vikings have only trailed 3 minutes and 26 seconds out of 180 minutes all year. Getting the lead early and dictating the game to the Vikings should be an emphasis for the Packers. Amen, man. Yep. And that's every game we've played, or both games we've won this year, Tim. That's what's happened. Early lead, maintain the lead, right?
I was just going to say, and it was the attitude of Tupac LaFleur right out of the gate. First offensive possession. I mean, we've started with the ball these last 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
If I remember correctly. And we've also started by hammering right away. No settling in. Let's settle in here, get ourselves going. Nope, we're attacking right away. And we saw that in Tennessee. First play to Jaden Reed really got the wheels going for our offense. So that's totally the mindset we have to have against the Vikings. We've got to attack early and often and play to win, not play not to lose,
Yeah. Nick makes a great point here, and we'll wrap up. If the doctor said he was healthy, he was healthy. The Packers are super conservative with injuries. Amen. That's exactly right. So
well said.
I agree too. Yeah. I guarantee you, though, if the team doctors did really clear him, and the reason that got brought up is because they asked LaFleur, has Jordan been cleared? And he said, we're working through that. He nodded yes and said, we're working through that. So it was like, whoa, what does that mean?
Right.
But I guarantee
the body language experts in their analysis of his reaction to that question.
If the representatives did come in there and go, he ain't playing, I guarantee you LaFleur shot him one of those. Who the hell are you? So again, it's all rumor, but tune in to Wildy and Tausch. Maybe he'll talk about it more. They should be probably already live right now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it on as we upload this podcast. But appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live, and we're going to continue to dive into see if I made the note. I already forgot, Tim. We're going to talk about Minnesota's offense against the Packers defense from the PFF standpoint. So y'all have a great day. Stay safe if you're down here in the South. I'm going to be like Lieutenant Dan on the front porch holding the American flag, staring it right in the face. That's just how I roll. Okay, so y'all have a great day. Help me out, Tim.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your
No
day.
block, no rock.
As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.